Hello and welcome to the channel, Flesh to the Father. Today I want to talk about how God is a genius for allowing us to suffer. And he's also very loving by allowing us to suffer. Now the reason I'm doing this video is because I am getting increasingly fed up, as I see a lot of citizens are, with just the overbearing nature of our countries. And I live in the UK, and you cannot do anything in our country anymore without governments and people messing around with you. Obviously COVID was the greatest example. You couldn't do anything. Put your mask on, make sure you get your jabs. You can only leave your house once a day. You can only go for a one walk. All these crazy stupid measures, which seemingly coming from a lovely intention from the governments, protecting their citizens. But ultimately, what would we prefer? I would far rather prefer the governments just give us freedom. And then if we get sick, so be it. We can face the consequences. If old people want to protect themselves, absolutely. That's up to them. They can stay in their house and do all the lockdown rules. That's fair enough. But healthy people, if they want to risk it, then so be it. And you see it with many other things. I like to buy Bitcoin, for example, because I believe it's the future of finance and it's decentralized and it helps us fight against the central bank digital currencies. And trying to buy it now is, again, they're interfering. The banks, you have to fill in all these things. Some banks don't let you deposit. Now the exchanges want you to fill in all these forms, tell you where you're getting the money from. And it's just becoming more and more of a nightmare. It's just like, get out of my life and let me live. There's a lot of scammers about, but it's like, they're implementing all these measures, again, to protect us, as well as, I believe, trying to protect their financial institutions because Bitcoin's a threat to it. But also they're saying it's because of scams. But I'd rather face the consequences of being scammed and not having to fill in all these ridiculous things and jump through all these hoops. And you also see it health and safety. There's mind your step on every step. It's like they treat us like we're children. And you've got, the climate change agenda. Oh, you can't travel here. You've got to get this car. If you go in this zone, you're going to pay money. It's just everything is tax, tax, tax. Dominate, dominate, dominate. Control, control, control. And you have no freedom. And when you have no freedom, you have no free will. And this is where you see the genius of God in his creation. In that he is truly, truly loving. See, the governments don't truly love us. They want to control us and make us suffer in a way through their controlling. Whereas God truly loves us, so he's given us free will. See, God could have set up creation and said, okay, I'm not going to give them free will, and we may be protected, but without the freedom, we do not have real love. And what you realize, just as with COVID, you'd rather have freedom and suffer the consequences of getting sick, or as I'm saying with Bitcoin, and losing your money, than not have your freedom and then not get COVID, but not be able to buy the Bitcoin that you want. You'd much, much rather be free and face the consequences than be protected and have to suffer under being suffocated by a so-called loving people and potentially not having suffer. Again, you may not suffer, you may not get COVID, but it's not about getting the COVID or not. It's about having freedom and living in freedom and with real love. And again, another great analogy would be a relationship. Let's say I had a wife and I loved my wife, but I was sort of fearful, or I don't want her going out and getting robbed, or maybe I don't want her cheating on me. So I'm just going to keep her at home all the time and not let her leave the house. Sort of like what they do in Islam, just wear a burqa, stay at home. Oh, you're under my control. Your opinion's worth 1/4 of a man's, etc., etc. But that's not loving. True love is giving the other person freedom. And it also says correctly in the Bible that we have freedom, but we should not use our freedom to sin, but to serve one another in love. So that's the ultimate goal. And just as when we have freedom in COVID, we should use our freedom for good. I don't want my freedom, just so I can carry on, go and getting drunk in the pub and sleeping with loads of women and gambling and doing all the usual degenerate stuff, which I'm not judging. I'm just saying God doesn't want us doing that. He wants us to be free, but to serve him and build the kingdom on earth. That's the ultimate goal. And that's why you see a lot of people always ask, how can God allow so much suffering? When you realize if things were set up the opposite way, You know, how would you like our lives to be lived under lockdown laws the whole time? Would you rather that, but we're protected, you know, bad things aren't going to happen to us? Or would you rather be free and potentially bad things happen to us? I know what I would choose 10 times out of 10, and I know what is the loving way to go, and that is to give people freedom. Okay, so that's the point of the video. It's something that came to me just with being a little bit fed up with the way that governments and religious institutions and schools and parents and society all want to just dominate and suffocate us. And it's just like, let me live free. I don't need you dominating me and trying to control my life. Okay, so share any comments if you've got any comments on the issue. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe for more. God bless everyone. Goodbye.